So today we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean the Serenity Waterfall filter. I like the Serenity Waterfall filter for the reason is that you have the choice of putting in your own biological, chemical, mechanical filtering into the system itself. And it only, when you buy this unit, it only comes with one filter pad and then a biological mesh with a bunch of plastic, kind of cut up plastic pieces. It's already moved. I kind of improvised and kind of added my own stuff. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to clean one of these units. So take out my decorated pieces here. Put a big piece of slate over the top so the water wasn't in direct contact with the light. I keep a rock on top of the filter. It kind of helps keep the filter pads from floating up to the top once they get filled up with debris. So you'll see how dirty these pads actually get. So first of all, before I do that, what I like to do is at the base of the waterfall, one thing I don't like to do is I don't like to turn off my unit. I like to keep it flowing to make sure that I'm keeping oxidation and stuff. You will get a little bit of backflow coming in, but the amount of it isn't going to be that great. That's why I put these pads down here to kind of catch any big debris that may overflow when I take the pads out. So I'll lay that down there, take my rock off. And then scoop out these pads. Now, from this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pond back and I'm going to try to clean that as much as I can. This will help pick up any of the debris that's floating around in there. As you can see, the water is starting to clear just as I'm doing this. And that should be good. So at the bottom of this, I've got these little balls that sit at the bottom. They kind of act as a biological filtration. They sit at the very bottom of this, so this is the first thing that the water hits when it comes in. So next thing is get your hose ready and let's clean these dirty pads off. So what I'm going to want to do is grab your garden hose. You're going to want to rinse these pads off. Trust me, you do not want to put this stuff back into your pond. They tell you don't use a hose, don't use a sprayer because you're taking all the beneficial bacteria off. Not the case. You will repopulate these in a matter of hours once you put them back into that water. Rinse them off. Don't put these dirty pads back into your pond. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to rinse all these pads off. And I'll show you how to put it all back together once we're done. Okay, now that I got all the pads all nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and put them back into the Serenity Waterfall in the order that I like to put them. So, these little balls are going first. Throw these in, these will submerge to the bottom of the ball and be pushed down like a pad. So use a coarse pad to begin with. It captures large debris that happens to come up from the pump. Now I got a mag drive pump pumping 3,000 gallons of water up through this system. So I want to try to capture as much as I possibly can the water filter. These are 12-inch by 12-inch size pads that I cut down the size, buy them in bulk. And after that, I go with a little bit of a coarser type. Put that down inside of there. Then I add a carbon filter on top of that. Or I'm going to use a blue and white pad. Put it from the top. Put my carbon right on top of that. Submerge that down. Now remember, your carbon, you're going to want to change that out at least once a month. You don't want to, you can wash it out a few times, but then you're going to want to replace it. Then, after that, I have a carbon pad, 12 by 12 pad. It's going to go on top of that. And then I'll use one more mesh pad to hold everything together. Push that down. And the one thing you can't forget is your rock. Now use the rock just to keep everything down, because as soon as these pads start to get filled up with debris, they're going to start rising. And one thing you don't want to do is have those pads lift up so high that it starts pushing the water over the edge. You'll end up losing water from your pond, and before you know it, you don't want to get caught with a pond that's drained because it's all being flowed over because of your pads. Lay this rock right on top. And I put my big stone right on the top. And remove my filter cup. And there you have it. That's cleaning the Serenity Waterfall Filter. Now, the thing is always remember, you can never have too much filtration on your pond. Add as much as you like, but don't add too little. What that'll do is you'll end up with a really bad string algae problem, especially if your pond is in full sun. Thank you.